hereby call the City Council meeting to order for October 12th, 2021. Please rise and salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, item number 1.
Acceptance of the minutes of the September 27th, 2021 City Council meeting.
Accepted and placed on file. Councilor Monahan.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to take numbers 2 and 3 together and act on them tonight under suspension.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion made and properly seconded to take 2 and 3 collectively and act on them this evening. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. Mr. Clerk, would you read them?
Promotion of Officer Michael Schaff to Permanent Police Sergeant. Promotion of Sergeant Patrick Benvey to Permanent Police Lieutenant.
Councilors, Officer Schaff is not available this evening. However, I believe Sergeant Benvey is. Would Sergeant Benvey step forward? So the motion is on confirmation by a roll call vote. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
That's 10 in the affirmative.
The appointment is confirmed.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for reconsideration in the hopes it does not prevail.
Second.
There's been a motion made for reconsideration in the hope that it does not prevail. If you are in favor of reconsideration, raise your hand. If you are opposed, raise your hand. Reconsideration fails. Would one of the officers let Mr. Schaff know that he has been confirmed, please? Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilor Alley.
I'd like to move that we take items 4 through 17 collectively and act on them this evening.
Second.
There's been a motion made and properly seconded to take items 4 through 17 collectively and act on them this evening. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. Mr. Clerk.
Appointment of Corey Cloudman of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Jordan Cohen of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Ryan Doherty of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Akeem Dorn of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Ryan Foley of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Robert Goodek of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Helio C. Lima of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Anthony R. Lupica of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Cameron O'Reilly of Brockton, Mass. to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Devante J. Pinto of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Colin J. Riley of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Cody J. Scully of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Colin M. Weathers of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department. Appointment of Jared A. Wilson of Brockton to the rank of firefighter in the Brockton Fire Department.
Without objection, Chief Nardelli, would you like to say a few words? I believe this is one of the largest classes that we have ever had.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, councilors, for having us here tonight. Very excited. I came to you with Chief Williams back during the budget hearings back in June, and we were able to get 7 new firefighter positions, along with 5 that we were filling through attrition. One of the things that worked out really well for us was we had 2 more. By the time we were able to get through the process, we had 2 more unexpected retirements came up that brought that total now to 14. So what you see here tonight is 14 Brockton residents, born and raised, for the most part, in the city of Brockton, reside here in the city of Brockton, looking to protect the city of Brockton and all of its residents. I want to applaud the mayor, Chief Financial Officer Troy Clarkson, for helping us with this, and you for approving those positions back in June so that we could do this. This is, I think, President Fowler and I were speaking of this prior to me walking into the chamber tonight, I think this might be the largest contingent of Brockton we had at one time. We've had larger classes, but they've been from out of towners we've allowed in because they haven't had a hard time getting into the Mass Fire Academy. But tonight, I think this might be our biggest number yet. I know in my 25 years here. So I applaud them, I applaud you, and I can assure you they will get great training in the number of weeks ahead of us to make sure they're ready to protect the residents of the City of Champions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Question comes on confirmation by a roll call vote on all of the appointees. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
Mr.
All
President,
appointments are confirmed. Councilor Lally.
at this time, I would move reconsideration in the hopes it does not prevail.
Second.
It has been a motion made for reconsideration in the hope that it does not prevail, properly seconded. If you are in favor of reconsideration, raise your hand. If you are opposed, raise your hand. Reconsideration fails. Councilor Monahan. Item number 56.
Mr. President,
Mr. Lally wanted to do it.
All right.
my turn. I'd like to make a motion to take item number 56 out of order.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to take item 56 on the agenda out of order. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. Mr. Clerk, would you read item number 56?
Ordered, in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the appropriation of $4,503,179.20 from Stabilization Fund, $2,912,029.39, from the ARPA Fund, $1,591,149.81, to Fire Fiscal Year 20 Personal Services Other Than Overtime Retroactive Payment, $457,335.82. Two, Fire Fiscal Year 20 Overtime Retroactive Payment, $25,211.37. Two, Fire Fiscal Year 21 Personal Services Other Than Overtime Retroactive Payment, $1,313,816.82. Two, Fire Fiscal Year 21 Overtime Retroactive Payment, $67,209.56. Two, Fire Fiscal Year 22 Personal Services Other Than Overtime, $2,619,060.10. That is a retroactive payment. Fire Fiscal Year 22 Overtime Retroactive Payment, $20,545.53. This is for purposes of funding Local 144 contract. This appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2022, of a 3-year contract. In City Council, September 27, 2021, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
Councilors, the question now comes on approval of these financial matters by a roll call vote. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
The appropriations and transfers are approved. Councilor Lally?
Mr. President, I'd like to move that we take this, I'd like to move to reconsider in the hopes this does not prevail.
Second.
There's been a motion made and properly seconded that reconsideration in the hope it does not prevail. If you are in favor of reconsideration, raise your hand. If you are opposed, raise your hand. Reconsideration fails. To everyone here, we're going to take a brief recess in a minute so that you can leave, but I would ask the honorable people who have been appointed to the fire department and Sergeant Benvey to remain for a minute because we'd like to personally greet you and thank you for your willingness to serve the city of Brockton. You're going to put your life on the line every day, but you're going to do it in one of the greatest fire departments in the Commonwealth of Mass and one of the best police departments in the Commonwealth of Mass, and we're all very proud of you. So we will be in a brief recess. We'd like to greet you. Back from recess, councilors. Mr. Clerk.
Number 18, appointment of Porita Das of Brockton, Mass. to the Planning Board for a 5-year term ending October 2026.
Refer it to Finance.
Appointment of Matthew Stanton of 160 True Street, Brockton, to the War Memorial Board of Trustees for a 3-year term ending October 2024.
Refer it to Finance.
Appointment of Sarah Units of Brockton to the War Memorial Board of Trustees for a 3-year term ending October 2024.
Refer it to Finance.
Petition of National Grid and Mass Electric Company requesting permission to erect and maintain poles and wires to be placed thereon, together with sustaining and protective fixtures as said company may deem necessary in the following public way or ways. Montello Street, installing 2 new poles, poles 8550 and 85-51, to provide electrical service to the new building at 1200 Montello Street. In City Clerk's office, September 28th, 2021. Hearing is signed for October 12th, 2021. All paperwork is on file.
I declare the hearing open, councilors. There is a request to postpone this matter. By declaring the hearing open, we have avoided additional costs for re-advertising. So if someone would make a motion to postpone this,
Motion
Mr.
to
Clerk, is
postpone.
there a
Second.
Postpone till the next meeting and we'll look at it.
postpone till the next meeting? All right,
Second.
motion made and properly seconded to postpone. All in favor? All opposed? It is a vote.
Item 22, report of the Ordinance Committee for its meeting of September 28th, 2021.
Accepted and filed.
Report of the Finance Committee for its meeting of October 4th, 2021.
Accepted and filed.
We have communications from the Chief of Police requesting that Officer Michael Schaff be promoted to the rank of Permanent Police Sergeant and Sergeant Patrick Benvey be promoted to the rank of Permanent Police Lieutenant.
Communications accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the Mayor recommending the same.
Placed on file.
Communication from the Chief of Fire informing the City Council that they have selected 14 candidates for appointment that were found suitable for a public safety position with the Brockton Fire Department.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Mayor recommending the appointing Porita Das of Brockton, Mass. to the Planning Board for a 5-year term ending October 2026.
Accepted and placed on file.
Appointment from the Mayor, communication from the Mayor appointing Matthew Stanton of 160 True Street to the War Memorial Board of Trustees for a 3-year term ending October 2024.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the Mayor appointing Sarah Units of Brockton, Mass. to the War Memorial Board of Trustees for a 3-year term ending October 2024.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Mayor informing the City Council that Doris Smith is stepping down from the Zoning Board of Appeals effective October 5th, 2021.
Accepted and filed with a notation that we thank Ms. Smith for her service to the city. Item 32.
Communication from the Mayor in accordance with General Laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the appropriation of $332,421.50 from the Stabilization Fund and ARPA Fund for the purposes of funding the laborer's contract.
Accepted. I'm sorry.
This appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1st, 2019 through June 30, 2022 of a 3-year contract.
Accepted and placed on file.
From the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Mayor in accordance with the General Laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the appropriation of $236,862 from the Stabilization Fund and ARPA Fund for purposes of funding the Public Employees Local Union 1162 Water and Sewer Contract. This appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022, of a 3-year contract.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the city council authorize the appropriation of $119,150.87 from the stabilization fund for purposes of funding the Brockton Association of Engineers, Technicians, and Inspectors contract. This appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1st, 2019 through June 30, 2022, of a 3-year contract.
Accepted and filed.
From the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the city council authorize the appropriation of $215,267.48 from the stabilization fund for purposes of funding the Brockton City Hall Administrative Services Association contract. This appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1st, 2019 through June 30, 2022, of a 3-year contract.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Emergency Management Director requesting acceptance of the MAPC COVID Safe Cooling Strategies Grant of $50,000, no match required. This funding will be used to provide equipment and items for extreme heat response during COVID-19 pandemic.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Library Director requesting acceptance of the $50,000 ARPA-funded grant to purchase a mobile planetarium which will be added to the Library of Things collection.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Library Director requesting acceptance of the $15,000 LSTA grant to develop and create a cultural curriculum for immigrants trying to gain citizenship.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the city council authorize the proposed land taking located at 596 Summer Street, said property owners 596 Summer Street Realty LLC, in the amount of $3,998,460. This taking has been negotiated with the current property owner, so there is little risk of further financial exposure to the city. The cost for the taking will be paid from existing city funds and will not create further budgetary pressure on our finances. This taking is an important component of the Public Safety Complex project and has been a collaborative effort of the city and Brockton Public Schools.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Unfinished business. Ordinance. An ordinance amending the revised ordinances of the City of Brockton, Chapter 2, Article 3, Section 2-134, Holidays. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Brockton that Chapter 2, Article 3, Section 2-134 of the City of Brockton City Ordinances be amended to include Juneteenth as a designated holiday. In City Council, June 28, 2021, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable.
Question is on passage to a third reading by hand vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. Passed to a third reading.
Number 52, ordinance. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Brockton that the City Council adopt the following amendments to the ordinance establishing licensing and regulation for adult-use marijuana establishments, Section 1.003, Subsection 1, Subsection C. In City Council, June 28, 2021, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable as amended.
Councilor Nicastro.
Thank you. I hereby move to amend this ordinance, and Councilor Resnick is going to read the details.
Motion to amend the proposed ordinance as follows. The reference of section 1.003, parentheses 1, on parentheses C, shall be stricken and inserting in its place section 11-422, little a, 3, fee schedule. The reference of section 1.003, 1D shall be stricken and inserting in its place section 11-423, little a, 4, and amending the reference to 9, 10, 11 to read instead I, J, K. The purpose of this amendment is to mirror section references in the existing ordinance as reflected in the city ordinances as adopted. And the reason is that when the ordinance that was reviewed by the ordinance committee was submitted, it was based off of the section references from when the ordinance was originally submitted to the city council, but subsequent to that, the ordinances have been codified and are actually reflected in your ordinances. So these are just the correct section references.
Does everyone understand the amendment?
Second.
Sorry.
Motion made and seconded on the amendment. Councilor
Can we
Cardoza.
get a copy of the amendment sent to us?
Yes, I will forward that now, and I will CC the clerk's office so that they have it as well.
All right, thank you.
Anything further? If not, we vote first on the amendment. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
DeCastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
That's 10 in the affirmative.
All right, we now proceed to vote on passage to a third reading as amended. All those in favor, hand vote. All those opposed, it is a vote. 53.
53, ordered that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 4, the City Council authorizes the mayor to execute an intermunicipal agreement inclusive of attached development agreement with the town of Avon for treatment of wastewater and sale of water. In City Council, August 23rd, 2021, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable. Postponed from September 27th, 2021 meeting to this evening.
Councilor DeCastro.
Thank you. Mr. President, this intermunicipal agreement has been edited in several ways. I worked on one after this meeting when we considered it at Finance. I actually had a meeting of the Central Plymouth County Water District Commission, which I was recently appointed to, and they raised concerns about the 100,000 gallons per day that was being approved in this IMA. So I went back and did a lot of research and spoke to the city solicitor and to the mayor, including today. And as a result, the agreement is going to be amended to state that sewer capacity granted as part of this IMA will be capped at 40,000 gallons per day, and water consumption will be capped at 30,000 gallons per day, which is far less than the 100,000 gallons per day that was in the original draft, okay? There have been additional changes that are going to be made, and Councilor Thompson worked on them, and so I defer now to him to explain those. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilor DeCastro. So last time this matter was before us, I asked for this matter to be postponed so that I could work a little further with the city solicitor on kind of tightening up the agreement based upon some of the terms we discussed during that meeting. I just want to be also to be clear that what we're granting, what we're voting on today is granting the mayor's office to have the authority to enter into the IMA. But I do believe it's important that the mayor does understand what the city council believes is a fair agreement between the city of Brockton and the town of Avon. So to that effect, some of the terms that we agreed to was, number one, that this would be a 20-year term agreement in lieu of the 25-year term that was previously stated. Additionally, some of my concerns were that the city of Brockton would receive a premium on the water and sewer that we provide to the town of Avon. Some of the issues related to that would be, number one, the water is going to be charged at the highest block rate the city of Brockton currently charges, and will also be amendable when our block rates change. This agreement will also change to reflect that the town of Avon will be paying at the highest block rate of residential water usage. I can tell you that after running the numbers, Brockton does receive a premium on this water usage. Secondly, again, with the sewer usage, we will be charging them at the highest block rate for sewer usage, which again is a premium to the city of Brockton. Now, one of the things that I discussed at the Finance Committee meeting and is made even more clear in this agreement is that each unit will have a separate meter, and that each unit will be charged the $15 user fee quarterly on both the water and the sewer usage side. So 104 units at, what's that, $120 a year on monies that will come to Brockton to help our infrastructure improvements here in the city of Brockton. Lastly, it's also important to know that there is a penalty for them to go above the water usage, the 30,000 on sewer, 40,000 on sewer, 30,000 on water. So if they do go over that usage, the city of Brockton will be charging 5 times the block rate on any overage. So again, after working with the city solicitor on this issue and with Councilor Nicastro, I believe this IMA is fair and reasonable and benefits the city of Brockton. So I ask for your support on this agreement. Thank you.
Any further discussion, councilors?
I do.
Councilor Cardozo. Strike that. Councilor Rodriguez, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a little worried in terms of, did we have discussions with the developers to make sure that they came in asking the city for 100,000 gallons of water, and now we're reducing that water to 40,000. Has anybody reached out to these developers to make sure that we're not going to have an embarrassment in the sense that, halfway down towards this development, the city of Brockton technically either shuts off the water or starts charging these individuals an amount that will basically blacken the eye of the city in terms of water. So wouldn't it make sense to, perhaps have that discussion with the developers, make sure that they're okay with these numbers, that we're just not pitching these numbers based on some discussions that we're having with water folks versus the real people who are developing? Because I find it hard to understand or believe that somebody can go from asking for 100,000 gallons and settling for 40,000. That is not, it's not going from 50 to 40. It's going from 100 to 40. So if we have not had those discussions, I definitely would say that we probably owe it to those folks who are developing this property a discussion before we vote on this. Thank you,
Councilor Thompson, I believe you have a response. Councilor Nicastro.
I'll defer to Councilor Nicastro, but after, if I'd answer as well.
Thank you. Mr. President, through you to Councilor Rodriguez. Attorney David Frenette represents Avon and the developer, and he was consulted in all of this, and he reassured me in writing that the 100,000 gallons per day was simply a placeholder, that number was always intended to be negotiated further. And it's unclear to me why the agreement came in front of us with a placeholder in it when that's such an important term. But he is aware of these numbers, and these are the real numbers.
But through the chair, through Mr. President, but are they okay with those numbers? That's my concern. Are they okay settling for 40,000 gallon versus
Yes, he
what they
suggested
actually?
it. Yes, he suggested it.
He suggested the 40,000? Well, if they're fine with it, I'm fine with it as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anything further? If not, the question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
It's 10 in the affirmative.
The order is adopted. Is there a motion for reconsideration?
So moved.
Second?
All right, there is a motion for reconsideration, moved and properly seconded. Those in favor of reconsideration? Those opposed? Reconsideration fails. Mr. Clerk.
Number 54, in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the grant award in the amount of $282,379.13 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, State 911 Department, fiscal year 22, State 911 Department Training Grant, to the City of Brockton Police Department, fiscal year 22, State 911 Department of Training Grant Fund. In City Council, September 27th, 2021, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
Question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
The order is adopted.
Number 55, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the grant award in the amount of $1 million from the Department of Public Health to the Board of Health Fiscal Year 22 Department of Public Health Grant Fund, $500,000, and the Board of Health Fiscal Year 23 Department of Public Health Grant Fund, $500,000. In City Council, September 27, 2021, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
Question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
9 in the affirmative.
The order is adopted. Item 57.
Resolved to invite Ms. Cynthia Hogan Scrivani, Executive Director of the Elections Commission, to appear before the Finance Committee to discuss the September 14th preliminary election, including, without limitations, personnel and mechanical issues and how to address them before the November 2nd general election. In City Council, September 27th, 2021, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
Question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
The resolve is adopted. Councilors, before we go to item 58, two things. There is a phrase in this order which I asked the Chief Financial Officer to research. He is here tonight. If there is no objection, I would like him to talk about the words signing bonus, which is nomenclature for our muni system and is not what it appears to be. And secondly, someone could make a motion, if you deem it worthy, to have a summary of all of these read rather than each individual appropriation, but I leave that to you. You can enter this into the record as read upon a proper motion passed by the council, but Mr. Claxon, would you explain this term signing bonus as it relates to the muni system?
We should read the order first, though.
Okay, if you want to read it first, go ahead.
Number 58, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the appropriation of $332,421.50 from the Stabilization Fund, $237,921.50, to the Cemetery Department, personal services other than overtime, $18,200, Cemetery Department overtime, $1,806, DPW Highway personal services other than overtime, $80,080, DPW Highway overtime, $5,686, DPW maintenance personal services other than overtime, $7,280, DPW maintenance overtime, $383, DPW refuse personal services other than overtime, $29,120, DPW refuse overtime, $2,170, Library Department personal services other than overtime, $7,280, Library Department overtime, $300, Parking Authority full-time salaries, $21,840, Parking Authority part-time salaries, $8,872.50, Parking Authority overtime, $477, Parks and Recreation personal services other than overtime, $32,760, Parks and Recreation overtime, $6,215, Public Property personal services other than overtime, $14,560, Public Property overtime, $892, and appropriate from the opera funds, $94,500, to Cemetery Department signing bonus, $7,500, DPW Highway signing bonus, $33,000, DPW Maintenance signing bonus, $3,000, DPW Refuse signing bonus, $12,000, Library signing bonus, $3,000, Parking Authority signing bonus, $16,500, Parks and Recreation signing bonus, $13,500, Public Property signing bonus, $6,000. This is for the purposes of funding the laborer's contract. This appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1st, 2019 through June 30, 2022, of a 3-year contract.
This will all be going to finance councilors, but Mr. Claxon, would you explain what you researched today?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and members of the council. I am Troy Clarkson, your Chief Financial Officer, and the Council President and I had a discussion earlier today, and he asked for me to clarify, and I think this is an important clarification. So many of the budget lines that receive these fundings are lines within the budget that are in the budget that you approved last year. But some of these payments are outside the budget, and those are to pay COVID bonuses for the employees. And in our accounting system, which is Munis, it doesn't accommodate, understandably so, for COVID bonuses. And so the nomenclature for the line within the accounting software that these will be paid out of is indeed called signing bonuses. But I assure you, and I assure the President, that these are one-time COVID bonuses that do not fold in to the base pay for the employees, that are a recognition, as many municipalities have done in the Commonwealth, of the service of our employees during the pandemic. And those are allowable to be paid out of either CARES or ARPA funding. You'll see that throughout many of the contracts, but I think it's an important distinction so that you understand that they're not signing bonuses like a professional athlete would receive, but a recognition of the employee's service during COVID.
And just for clarification, this was discussed at the bargaining sessions, correct?
Most certainly, yes. This was, the COVID bonuses were part of the overall settlement of the employment contracts.
Councilors, the city of Worcester recently did the same thing that's being suggested here. I have an article from the Worcester Telegram Gazette, if anyone would like to read it. They took ARPA funds and they had a COVID bonus, recognizing that people worked during very difficult times in unhealthy or unknown, possibly unhealthy environments. So, but again, this is going to finance. We're still going to have a full-fledged review and discussion. So with that, referred to finance. Item 59.
Mr. President,
Yes.
make a motion, I'm sorry. I make a motion that numbers 59 through 61 to be read as a summary.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion made that we 59, 60, and 61 be summarized by the clerk. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. They'll all be on the city's website anyway under the agenda items. So, go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
59, in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the appropriation of $236,862 from the Stabilization Fund, $172,362, and from ARPA Fund, $64,500. Those will be referred to, transferred to the Department of Public Works, Water Enterprise Funds, Personal Services, Department of Public Works, Sewer Enterprise, Department of Public Works, Water Enterprise, and Department of Public Works, Sewer Enterprise. For the purposes of providing the public employees Local 1162 Water and Sewer contract, this appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 2019 through June 30, 2022, of a 3-year contract.
The first one, councilors, was $236,862, just for the record. And that is referred to finance. Number 60.
Number 60, in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the appropriation of $119,150.87 from the Stabilization Fund to the Board of Health, the Department of Public Works Engineering, Department of Public Works Engineering, Department of Public Works Water Enterprise, Department of Planning and Economic Development, Department of Planning and Economic Development again, and Public Property, Personal Services, and Overtime for the purposes of funding the Brockton Association of Engineers, Technicians, and Inspectors contract. This appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1st, 2019 through June 30, 2022, of a 3-year contract.
Referred to finance. 61.
61, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the appropriation of $215,267.48 from the Stabilization Fund to Assessor's Office, the Auditor's Office, the City Clerk's Office, the City Council's Office, the Council on Aging, Department of Planning and Economic Development, Department of Planning and Economic Development, Educational Incentive, DPW Administration, DPW Highway Division, DPW Refuse, DPW Sewer Enterprise, DPW Water Enterprise, DPW Engineering, and the Elections Commission, Finance Department, the Fire Department Educational Incentive, Board of Health Educational Incentive. Actually, this is a duplicate. The Veterans Office, Tax Collector's Office, the Treasurer's Office. For the purpose of funding the City Hall Administrative Services Association contract, this appropriation provides funding for 3 years, July 1st, 2019 through June 30, 2022, of a 3-year contract.
The reason why some of those are going to the police department counselors is because we have civilian employees that are covered by that particular collective bargaining agreement. Next one, Mr.
Defer that to Finance.
Yeah, referred to finance, yes.
Item 62, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the grant award in the amount of $50,000 from Metropolitan Area Planning Council COVID Safe Cooling Strategies Grant to the Emergency Management Agency, Metropolitan Area Planning Council COVID Safe Cooling Strategies Grant Fund.
Referred to finance.
63, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the grant award in the amount of $50,000 from Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, Library Services and Technology Act, direct grant, to the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, Library Services and Technology Act, direct grant fund.
Referred to finance.
Ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the grant award in the amount of $15,000 from Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, Library Services and Technology Act, direct grant, to the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, Library Services and Technology Act, direct grant fund.
Referred to finance. 65.
Ordered that the City of Brockton does hereby take in fee, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 79, and/or other applicable law, the following described parcels of land, to wit, 596 Summer Street. For further reference, see Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, Book 54317, page 257, map 117, Route 243, Plot 44. We have considered and estimated the damages sustained by all persons who have not waived damages in their several estates, and hereby determine and award the same as follows: to be paid from the bond amounts previously authorized by the City Council for the purchase or taking of property for public safety and general municipal purposes. The property owner is 596 Summer Street Realty LLC. Said taking shall include all trees, soil, or fixtures thereon. The amount of the taking is $3,998,460.
Referred to the Finance Committee.
Ordered, whereas pending before the Ordinance Committee of the City Council are proposed major zoning changes for certain parcels of land in the area of Beaumont Avenue, Quincy Street, Christo's Way, and the property formerly occupied by or contiguous to Christo's Restaurant and Function Facility. And whereas, if approved, these zoning changes would have a profound effect on the inventory of commercial parcels of property in the city, as well as traffic, school populations, and other effects on residents in this area. Ordered, number one, the zoning changes filed during the meeting of September 2021 and numbered 32 and 33 on the revised agenda shall be the subject of a public hearing at the East Middle School held by the Finance Committee of the City Council. Committee members wishing to hear public comment may attend. Number two, the City Council shall request and receive the most recent traffic count data from the Old Colony Planning Council for the intersections of Quincy and Center Street and Quincy and Crescent Street. 3, the City Council shall request and receive information from the Brockton Public Schools as to the impact R3 multifamily zoning may have on school populations in the school buildings which would accommodate the additional students. Number 4, the City Council shall request and receive copies of all documents from the Planning Department or any vendor which was compensated for studying the proposed zoning changes. Where residents or businesses within a 1-mile area were solicited and returned positive or negative comments about zoning changes. Number 5, the City Council shall request and receive from the Planning Department all copies of email, letters, notes, or other documents from any source sent to or received by that department regarding the proposed zoning changes. Number 6, the City Council shall request and receive information from the Chief of the Fire Department as to the technical fire prevention requirements for R3 multifamily three-story residential buildings.
Refer to finance.
I think before we get to 67, there are late files that go with that and other late files.
Counselor Lally, you have a late file?
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce a late file.
All right. Would the clerk,
Do a second.
oh, okay, there's been a motion made and seconded to admit a late file. All in favor? All opposed? It is a vote. Would the clerk read the late file, please?
Make sure I got the right one first, excuse me. What late file are you doing?
Assessors.
Did you ask for the Brockton Assembly of God?
The assessors, Mr. Clerk.
In accordance with the general laws of Chapter 44, I hereby recommend that the City Council authorize the transfer of $885.67 from Assessor's Office Consultants to Assessor's Office Personal Services other than overtime. The transfer is necessary due to a shortfall in the fiscal year 21 budget. It's from communication from the mayor. Accepted and placed on.
Yeah, accepted and placed on file.
I have a communication from the Chief Financial Officer relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the department head requesting the transfer.
Accepted and filed.
Ordered that the following named sum and the sum is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $885.67 from Assessor's Office Consultants to Assessor's Office Personal Services other than overtime. This transfer is necessary due to a shortfall in the fiscal year 21 budget.
Counselor Lally.
Mr. President, the department has reached out. They're stressing that there's a time sensitivity issue. So I would, at this time, make the motion that we act on this tonight.
All right, there's been a motion
Under
made that we
suspension
act
rules.
on this evening. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and properly seconded that we act on this evening. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. Counselor Rodriguez, you seek recognition.
Yes, Mr. President, I have a late file. I believe it's in the hands of the clerk.
We need to
All right,
vote on this one first.
Let's act on this evening then. So now the question comes on this late file for 885.67. Well, would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
DeCastro? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
The order is approved. Now, Counselor Rodriguez.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to make a motion to introduce a late file.
Second.
Second.
And I believe the
Motion
clerk
made and
has the-
properly seconded to admit a late file. All in favor? All opposed? It is a vote.
A communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44. I hereby recommend that the City Council authorize the approval in the amount of $349,665,573 based on the report of KMS Actuaries, the actuary firm retained by the City of Brockton Retirement Board to fund the entire unfunded pension liability of the city's retirement system as of July 1, 2021, and to provide for bond issuance costs and other expenses necessary or incidental thereto. This order is necessary to comply with the retirement of the special legislation in order to execute the pension bond sale approved by the City Council on August 23, 2021.
All right, refer to the Finance Committee.
Accepted and placed on file.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Now ordered, proposed form of determination, City Council pension obligation bonds. The City Council hereby approves the determination by the City of Brockton Retirement Board based upon the report of KMS Actuaries, the actuary firm retained by the City of Brockton Retirement Board, that $349,665,573 is the amount necessary to fund the entire unfunded pension liability of the city's retirement system as of July 1st, 2021, and to provide for bond issuance costs and other expenses necessary or incidental thereto. This order is necessary to comply with the requirement of the special legislation in order to execute the pension bond sale approved by the City Council on August 23, 2021.
Refer to the Finance
Mr.
Committee.
Chairman.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Mr. President, I believe that this item has actually gone through the City Council, and one of the things that we were doing is just kind of fix up the wording of the order itself. And with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rule and act on this tonight so that they can move forward with this particular item.
All right, as I have done in the past, I would like to pass the gavel to Counselor Ianieri because I'm a member of the Retirement Board.
system.
And I guess at this time, you would like to be heard on this issue, Mr. Clarkson?
Please, Mr. Chairman.
You need a
Yes.
vote first to take it under suspension. I don't think we took that vote, did we?
Do we take a vote on it?
Vote to take it under suspension of the rules.
Vote to take it under the suspension of the rule. All in favor? Opposed? We take it up under the suspension of the rules. Mr. Clarkson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilors, just for transparency's sake and for purposes of clarification, first, thank you for your indulgence in considering this tonight. And what you're being asked to do is not to appropriate or authorize additional money to be borrowed. So I just want to make that very clear. We are very near the sale of these bonds, and I'm happy to report to you the review from both the Commonwealth and our rating agency, S&P, has been very favorable. The Commonwealth has approved, without changes, our plan of finance that we presented to you. And just today, we received notice from S&P that they have affirmed our current rating, but have upgraded our rating for the strength of management, which says a lot about the team that we put together and that the mayor led in bringing this forward. So that's very good news. We do anticipate being out to market next week. This was one final step that bond counsel suggested needed to be done before the sale. So what you're being asked to do tonight is to simply affirm the work of the retirement board's actuary that identifies the amount of the total accrued liability. And so that is validating the work of the retirement board's actuary. The amount that you have authorized to borrow or the amount that we intend to borrow does not change. This is simply a recognition of the work that the retirement board did, and the retirement board took a similar vote at a meeting today, and this was just simply a piece of the process that unfortunately was left off previously, and that's why I'm here before you tonight.
Anything else? Any Councilor Nacastro?
Thank you. It's a matter of 2 weeks, and I'd like to see the paperwork, the backup paperwork on this. I respectfully will be voting no tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Thompson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, Mr. Clarkson. Just the number that we allocated for the borrowing and the number that the actuaries determined to be the unfunded liability, are those the same? Are there a difference then in those two numbers? Or once you get over 3 million, I lose track, so.
300.
300 million.
Counselor. The amount that you authorized is slightly higher. I can give those amounts to you. That the actuaries actually conducted an updated actuarial valuation, which has resulted in this revised number. And while I absolutely fully respect the opinion of the counselor, this was an unforeseen oversight that bond counsel presented to us, and the bond sale is actually scheduled to be conducted next week. So I fully understand the position, and generally, I wouldn't be before you asking you to accept a late file and a suspension of the rules if it weren't of utmost importance. But a delay will delay the bond sale, and with the volatility of interest rates, I would ask for your indulgence and approve this tonight.
Now, I still have the floor, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Will we be borrowing the amount that we approved, or will we be borrowing this actuarial amount?
We'll actually be borrowing, so the amount that you approved is an authorization to borrow. We will be borrowing much less than that. The amount we'll be taking to market is 300 million exactly, because the interest rate market is favorable enough that what we don't want to do is overborrow and borrow more than we need and be what's called overfunded, and then be paying principal and interest on money we didn't need to borrow. So we are going to market with $300 million in pension bonds, and believe that the earnings on those, remember that delta between the 2.5% and the 6.75%, will earn us sufficient amounts that we won't need to do that. The previous pension obligation bonds that that the council approved in 2005, the dynamic was similar. There was an authorized amount, and then the city only borrowed a portion of that.
Could you remind us what our authorized amount was?
It's 300 and, I'm going to quote this from memory, but then I will gladly provide you tomorrow morning an updated email. I believe the total amount was 365 million.
Thank you, Mr. Clarkson. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Rodriguez?
No, I made a motion, and I think it was seconded by Councilor Monahan.
Okay. Motion was made and seconded that we suspended the rules to act on this evening, in which we've heard from our chief financial officer and a couple of the councilors. So if there's no other business to come, then the motion now will be to accept it, to move it favorably to, into a vote. So I would, at this time, take a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianary?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nacastro? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative, 1 in opposition.
Well, let me try one of those motion for reconsideration in hopes that it does not prevail.
Reconciliation again.
Motion has been made.
Second.
I second.
For reconsideration, hopes it does not prevail. All in favor of reconsideration? All opposed? Reconsideration fails.
I have another late file. If somebody would make a motion to,
Motion to accept the late
Yes,
file.
make a motion for a late file.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to accept the late file. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's been accepted to accept the late file.
I have a communication from the mayor to the members of the city council. In accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, I hereby recommend that the city council authorize the acceptance of the donation in the amount of $3,000 from Brockton Assembly of God Church to the mayor's office. Placed on file.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the chief financial officer relative to the same,
Accepted and filed.
and a communication that I will read from the donor. Mayor Sullivan, recently I noticed that the flags in front of City Hall are rather tattered and need to be replaced. I came by your office and offered on behalf of our church to replace all of the existing flags and to purchase additional flags as needed. The amount I calculated the city would need for this project amounts to $3,000. The offer still stands. Please let me know if this is, excuse me, acceptable, and our bookkeeper will write a check for this amount for this cause. Thank you for your consideration. May God bless you and the city of Brockton. Dr. Steve Warner, Senior Pastor, Brockton Assembly of God.
Referred to the Committee on Finance.
You get my late
Council Monahan.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for late file.
Second.
Motion made and properly seconded to omit a late file. All in favor? All opposed? It is a vote. Late file is
Communication
admitted.
to the members of the city council, I hereby appoint Brian Madden of 15 Madrid Square, number 5, Brockton, Mass., to the War Memorial Board of Trustees for a 3-year term ending October 2024.
Late files.
That's been placed on file.
Accepted and placed on file.
City council, I hereby appoint Brian Madden of 15 Madrid Square to the War Memorial Board of Trustees for a 3-year term ending October 2024.
Referred to the Committee on Finance.
Third time is a charm, sir.
Gonna do 67 first.
What?
Yes.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman,
Council Rodriguez.
Mr. President, today you're the president.
Whatever, I'm flexible.
I make a motion that we table 67, sir.
All right, there's been a motion made to take item number 67 on the agenda now.
Table. What did you want?
To
It
table
said
it.
No.
table.
No, we have, through you,
Would you clarify, please, what your,
well, Mr. President, I believe we have a late file that we're going to submit, so it's going to contradict with what's in here. And that's why I believe we need to table this and move with the late
Well, we're
file.
not gonna table it. We're just gonna,
You have to table it.
we can take the late file first and then do that.
Postpone it, otherwise, postpone it first, and then whatever you choose to do afterwards.
let's go, I want to hear from council here for a minute. Let's be in a brief recess.
Okay.
We're back from recess. Would you read the late file, please,
Well,
legislator?
Mr. President, I'd like to rescind my previous motion.
All right. Counsel Rodriguez is asking to rescind his prior motion. Would the second also rescind? Whoever that was.
I think I seconded it, so I rescind
The
my.
motion and the second have been withdrawn.
Be it resolved that legislative counsel to the city council be invited to come before the Brockton City Council to provide a report and narrative relative to the essential functions and qualifications recommended by the ad hoc committee for discussion on the functions, responsibility, and accountability of the position of the city clerk, clerk of the city council, and to provide information relative to advertisement for the position of the city clerk.
Mr. President,
Counsel
make a
Monahan.
motion that we take this under suspension of the
Second.
rules and act on this tonight.
All right, there's been a motion made to take this under suspension of the rules and act on it this evening. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. Legislative Council.
Good evening, everyone. So we wanted to provide the full council an update as to what the ad hoc committee has been working on for the last couple of months. One of the things that Councilor Rodriguez brought to our attention was kind of like this essential function job description duties that he had researched and had looked at other municipalities and what they do for their city clerk. One of the things that I did was I looked through your Brockton City ordinances as well as the state statutes to determine what functions are spelled out in those sources for the role of the city clerk. And then oftentimes what we found to be confusing, perhaps over the last couple of legislative sessions, is what's the difference between the city clerk and the clerk to the city council. And that job requires two hats to be worn, and so what we wanted to do was provide a written narrative that really spells that out to show what are our expectations of the city clerk and what are our expectations of the clerk to the city council. And so what we have in front of you is a job description, probably similar to what you would see if you were posting for a job online. But this is also a great tool that you can keep within the city council. It's not anything that needs to be mirrored in a ordinance, because most of this is already reflected in an ordinance and most of it is also in state law. But what it does, it provides a good resource for reference if there's a question about what your city clerk should be doing, what your clerk to the city council should be doing. So I'm not going to go forward and read all of that is in front of you, and this is information that we can share on the web or however you want the information to be disseminated. But just a couple of things that you might not know about what the city clerk does. A lot of it relates to state mandates on keeping records, attestation of city records, and then some of the things that you might be familiar with in terms of organizing the city clerk's office, planning their budget, overseeing their departments. A couple of other things relating to receiving applications of licenses, renewals of licenses. The city might designate that the license commission does some and the city clerk's office does some. Is the official keeper of your city seal, presides over inauguration, things of that nature. Vital statistics, marriage certificates, birth certificates, things of those nature are also part of the clerk hat. And then probably your more focus is what's the city to the clerk to the city council hat that they wear. So some of the things that you'll see that the city clerk to the city council does, they give draft, publishes agendas. Your minutes are all done by the clerk. They take care of advertising of your meetings. They are responsible for all your notices. They coordinate your meetings, they attend your meetings, they prepare your certified records. They work with me as legislative counsel to provide any sort of additional legal needs that you may need. And then they just help you with this process of functioning as an elected body. And so that is what you have before you. The other things that you have are your minimum qualifications. These were drafted from other postings that we saw online for positions of like a town clerk or positions of similar nature. And then they just kind of spell out what your minimum qualifications and your education and experience. Because when you're posting a job, those are the types of things that a potential applicant will be looking for. The ad hoc committee did discuss that this is something that they want to be advertised. We can set it for a period of 30 days, and you can request that applicants submit writings to however you want those to come through. They can come in through HR, however you want to receive that information. Or yeah, to every single council, that could also be an option as well. But then that way you can review and consider your candidates at your leisure. But so this is information that we have readily available, ready to go. We can send it out tomorrow for proper posting.
If I could, Mr.
Councilor
President.
Yaneri and then
I don't
Councilor
mean to butt
Cardoza.
into- But as she has indicated in some of the things and most of the things that have been put into play into this whole information packet that you have was all done by all of us. As much as I chaired, everybody pitched in, everybody worked at it, everybody found information as they did some legwork and eye work in the computers just to see what other cities and towns were doing. And I think it was all very well handled in collaboration of all of us working together, even with our legal counsel. I think made it a little bit easier for us to find out just, what we were trying to do, which was the question mark of the first meeting, I believe, to what we ended up doing is what you have here in front of you. There is one item here, if you look at the last page where it gives you the city clerk and minimum qualifications and education experience. It says, when you get down to education experience, applicants should have at least 6 years. That's incorrect. We want that to be 10 years. We had discussed 6 years, but we had, at our last meeting, I believe we put into play that it would be for 10 years. So we do want, that change there. But other than that, I mean, what's here is, is ready for us to go to work on and to put out, and I think it's well worth of what we were trying to do and trying to pull together something that's, I don't want to say has always been an old time type of job description, but in some ways, none of us understood what the job description was for either job, being an assistant city clerk or being the city clerk. And I still think, as I look at it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the clerk works for the city council, and that's how it goes, the same as the way we are, with our form of government, strong city council, weak form of mayor of government as well. So it still leaves us with that strength, but we all work together, and that's what this is all about. So I just wanted to make that known to let everybody know that it was a fruitful event in working on this, and we're ready to move forward to the next steps.
Can I add one
President.
point?
I'm sorry?
Can I add one other point?
Yes.
So I actually think too that this work of the ad hoc committee, and it's obviously as you as Brockton City Council, is actually unique. So when we were doing our research, there really isn't much, at least in terms of what the hat of the city clerk to the city council actually wears. In the state statute actually only references one line item when it relates to the clerk to the city council. It basically just says that they're entitled to additional compensation. So I think it actually is really important and really impressive of this council to have a written directive for your clerk to the city council hat. It's good to have that resource.
Councilor Cardoza.
Yeah, that's super important. And good job on this. Thank you to the ad hoc committee. My question is, if we're putting this out like tomorrow and we don't have an HR director right now or an assistant HR director, who's vetting the applicants?
So your city ordinances basically provide that role is up to you. That's your vote to confirm someone that's nominated by this council. And that actually, like going a couple years back when there was a vacancy in the city council, that kind of happened, that there were resumes that were passed along to all the councils, and they just had to vet them individually before the vote came. So you're not a hiring type body. There's no obligation. Yeah, there's no obligation for you to conduct interviews or anything like that. It's just your discretion how you want to voice your vote at that time.
So if we get like 30 applicants, we're reviewing 30 applications, and finding that'll be a much lengthier process with no one in human resources doing this.
It could, and I have to say, though, I'm not entirely sure how many applications you will receive. I did look at other assistant clerk positions and town clerk positions, and they seem to be vacant, unfilled. So I don't know how much people actually have the qualifications to be able to apply. So you'll have to see what happens, and if the ad hoc committee needs to meet a secondary time to address something like that, the committee certainly can.
Okay, so it's posted for 30 days, you said?
Yeah, that was the suggestion of the committee.
Okay, and where are we posting it?
That is really up to you. I mean, I think that some of your resources in Brockton can include the city website, the enterprise, posting it in the lobby downstairs, something like that.
Okay,
Any way to
who's
use
in charge of posting it?
I can do it.
I think that's, it's
Yeah,
just
so
very.
that's the thing. So this is an interesting thing because it's really you. It's really this council. It's your vote, and you're trying to dictate how you want that vote to function. If you'd like me to do it, I have no problem doing it. I'm not necessarily sure I have the authority, but I'll certainly post it downstairs and reach out to the enterprise.
Okay, so I guess
I can
we
send
should,
this to IT. That's simple enough to do too. They have like a legal posting. We could put it under one of their pages.
so this is very unique, and since we don't have someone in HR again, which is very sad, we should talk about how this is all gonna play out. I think.
Absolutely. But again, this is just a resolve, so you're just recommending it one way or the other. But it was something that I think we can get online tomorrow with the IT department, to at least have it on your city website.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Ianieri?
Thank you. I think the point also is we want to make sure that it gets on the website, and even within, for what it is, I don't want to say not what it's worth, but we do have a newspaper, and we should make sure that that gets in there like any and all of our legal things go into the newspaper with the Brockton Enterprise. I think it should be put in there as well. I know Councilor Cardoza brings up a great thought and theory of what do we do, where we don't have an H&R office and how we're going to handle it. I think does come into the laps of what we want to do. Almost similar to, I know when I'm just going back with my mind, and when we did the CFO position, I happened to be on because I was the city council president, and, one of the things that we did when we put everything out, councilors, we put out like this, you have 30 days, and then when everything comes in, then you come together again as a council and say, okay, now what are we doing? Because it didn't go through an H&R, went through the membership that the mayor then, Mayor Carpenter, had appointed to, to work on. So that, we'd be in the same type of thing. Now what do we do? We all sit there, look at them, and go that route and decide just, who we think is the best. And interviewing, I think, would be very difficult, to be truthful with you. But it gives us all a chance to partake in it. It's not like, it's just the 5 of us continuing. It's now it's all of us. It's the 10 members. But thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Rodriguez again for a minute.
That's it.
I wanted to, I just wanted to mention that Clerk Zioli took office the same day I did as mayor. I would strongly suggest that someone make a motion designating legislative counsel as our point of contact to advertise, post, receive the resumes, log in when the resumes are received. In other words, do everything that needs to be done, because this is a legislative position. It's not really a city position. It's funded by the city, but it is an appointment by us. And I think we should interview. I think we should look at all of the resumes. I think this gives us an opportunity to, quite frankly, show the public that we know what we're doing. But I would strongly urge to keep an arm's length. We should have legislative counsel handle this. But again, that's up to the body or someone to make a motion to that effect. So, Councilor Castro, and then I'll go back to Councilor Rodriguez.
Attorney Resnick, I want to confirm that the residency requirement in the ordinances applies to this position?
Yeah, there's nothing that takes that position out of residency.
Okay. And also, I'd like to suggest that we advertise on the website of the Mass Municipal.
Yeah, I did say that earlier, that that's a good resource that you could post it as well, because that's where I was finding of these job positions for other communities.
And I just want to confirm you have no problem with having applications directed to you?
No, I don't. I mean, I just want to be clear. So like the legislative council, my role really is on protecting your ordinances, drafting all of that, attending your meetings, following on procedure. So asking me to do something like that, like I really genuinely don't believe that your ordinances provide me that authority. I am happy to personally do it. It doesn't bother me much. But I do have a limited role as legislative counsel, and I just want to be mindful not to go outside that, because that's what your ordinances dictate me to do. So, just something to be mindful of. I did tell you.
Councilor Rodriguez and Councilor Thompson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. I don't think you checked your job description. It says, and perform other duties as assigned from time to time.
Yep,
So that actually it says it on your job description.
I'll do it.
So, Mr. President, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is just that, you know, when we did decide to discuss this in the committee, one of the things that we had talked about is giving each member an equal opportunity to be able to see the applications that are coming in. Instead of kind of directing it towards a committee, we felt that it would make more sense that we have a point person, now our legal counsel, to receive all those applications that comes in and basically forward the applications to every single member of the council so that there's an equal weight and process, because as you said, this is a process, we're not hiring the clerk, we are electing a clerk. And I think we kind of have to keep that in mind, that we are, it says on our bylaws that we elect a clerk every 3 years. So that's the process that we got to keep in mind, that this is slightly a little different than hiring a department head, because this is something that we all partake in terms of having a say who that person is. So I think if we direct everything to you, then I think what it'll end up happening is that everything is funneled through you, and then copies are made and passed on to the 10 members of this body, in the sense, for every member to come in whenever that specific date that we choose, a member will come in and basically nominate Peter, Paul, Mary, or whatever that nomination is, and whoever receives the most vote for those nominations moves on to become the next clerk here in the city. Because I think that's the most fair and possible way to do this, when you technically are asking every member to vote for something. And I think you have to give every member an opportunity to see and recognize the applicants that are coming through that whole process that we had discussed.
One thing that I might be able to suggest is, I know Councilor Azak, you set this up when you were president of this council during the COVID year, was that you had worked with IT to set up a generalized email for public comment. So perhaps that's something that IT can help do, is that if you set up like a submission to the city clerk or the council, something like that, and then we can figure out with IT to have it forwarded to your individual accounts. That's something that we can certainly ask them to do, because it worked out fine when we were receiving the emails for public comment, and they were able to set that up very quickly.
And then, Mr. President, I'll make that motion to after Councilor Thompson speaks, I'll make a motion to move forward and appoint our legal counsel to be the recipient or the point person of this whole process as we move forward.
Councilor Thompson first, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, Councilor Rodriguez stated a lot of the clarifications that I wanted to make, that this is not so much like a hiring process, but, you know, we as a council, through statute, have the duty to elect the city councilor, and that's not a power I want to give away in, you know, in putting in some other procedure that you know, that does not allow us to individually make our own choice on who becomes our next city clerk. As a member of the ad hoc committee, it was a pleasure working with you, Chairman Ian Airy, Councilor Rodriguez, Councilor Monahan, Councilor Castro. Oh, I went dead. So, you know, I just want to say it was a pleasure serving on this committee. I think, and thank you for your efforts as well, Council. I think we put together a work product that we can all be proud of. I think it clarifies some of the duties from the city clerk to the city council. I think going forward, we have a better understanding what those responsibilities are. I think now I just want to kind of confirm, you stated that you, as you know, soon to be the point person on this matter, that we post the job position and the regular course of how normal job requests are posted, and I think posting it in the MMA is a smart idea. I think we, as a council, have to decide, you know, time frame. How long do we want this posting open for? And then when are we going to actually make the vote? So I think, I don't know if that needs to be determined today, but that's some of the things that we got to think of. You know, once we direct you to post, obviously you would tell us when those postings are made. Then I guess that would be the beginning of the clock. 30 days later, we would, you know, basically cease the acceptance of any resumes, and then there'd be some time frame for us to individually deliberate on who we believe is, you know, our qualified candidate, and then at some point come to elect the next city clerk. So I'm not sure if all of that has to be figured out right this moment or voted on, because I believe, I mean, this is our time to make these decisions. So I leave it all to the rest of the council to kind of figure out if that is our course of action here. And then if so, you know, to tighten up some of these dates so that, you know, that the city can know, any prospective applicant can know, our current acting city clerk can know, and then, you know, we can get this matter resolved. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Councilors, you know I always sweat the details, as one of my colleagues said, is so important. So just so that we know what we're going to be voting on when Councilor Rodriguez makes his motion. The education and experience is to be changed to 10 years. Did I hear that?
Correct.
Okay. Other than that, the minimum qualifications and the other documents that have been submitted are acceptable. Thirdly, that all of the resumes will go to Legislative Council. That means if someone walks up to me and says, hey, I want to give you my resume for city clerk, my response is going to be, we have a process. Here is Attorney Resnick's name and address. Please submit all of your documents to her so that we don't muddy the process here. That Attorney Resnick will see that the appropriate advertisements are placed locally and with MMA, and I periodically review MMA to find out what other cities and towns are doing. They usually have a 30-day window. They will post, and then it will say closing date, and it's almost always 30 days later. I think it is important to get this done very quickly, because people will be elected in November, and we have an inauguration. There is a lot of work to do. So in terms of distributing the resumes, I would think it would be better to hold all of them until the closing date and then have them go out. But again, if someone wants to change that, that's entirely up to you. But again, I think that would be the appropriate process, so that we don't have snippets of, well, gee, so-and-so applied, or gee, I didn't know about this, and, you know, hold everything with Attorney Resnick, then have it go out to everyone at the same time. Everyone gets the same information equally, and then we decide as a council from there about interviews and any other issues that might arise. Now, human resources, to Councilor Cardozo's comment, when someone is hired, obviously that person should sit with human resources and go over all of the different things that are important to know, as benefits and other requirements. But I think, personally, I'm very comfortable having Legislative Council handle it. Is there anyone else that would like to add something, Councilor Cardozo?
So I just, I wanted to ask, I think you mentioned having an email that all of these could go to, as opposed to going to your email. There could be somewhere where all of these resumes, and you would have that listed on the advertisement when you...
That would be my preference, so
Right.
that,
I think that makes a lot of sense.
because I mean, I just think that that's something, and then, you know, if they give me access to that account, then I can collect them all, distribute them. What I don't want to do is have it be check the email every 5 seconds,
Right.
you know, something like that. But if you wait till after your submission period, I collect it all, provide the information to the council. I think that makes more sense for advertising purposes. And truthfully, my email address is not at, you know, Brockton, at whatever. So I think it'll just be better for the applicants to have a at Brockton email address in the advertising.
I think that makes sense. And then my other question is, we're voting on this tonight, but this isn't an actual order,
Nope,
right?
this is a resolve. But I understand it, I mean, as your legislative counsel, I have a duty to you as clients. So if you tell me to do something, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, but couldn't we put together the actual resolve so we know that do we have an actual resolve with everything that we agreed on tonight, so it lives somewhere? The only reason is if we're in this situation 3 years from now again, then we've already done all this work. I mean, where is this gonna live? Do you know
This
what I mean?
information, the job description, my hope is that it gets published on the website. The other part too is that we are so fortunate tonight that your meeting is now being recorded, and so you'll have an access to the minutes, and you'll have access to this actual live recording on YouTube, if anything ever that came up.
Yeah,
But
just so
this
we're not
actual document,
reinventing all of these discussions and this work.
this
Okay.
actual document, the function of the city clerk, we can have the IT put on the website.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Council Monahan.
Yeah, so I think we could pretty much have the process lined up. I think we can probably all agree that you're gonna give it a 30-day window to collect resumes. Does anybody got anything different to offer? We're just gonna go with 30 days? And then the last thing would just be, when will we act on it after the 30 days are up?
It's up to you as the council. I can't dictate when, you're gonna,
I was gonna put that in.
it's up to the council when they want to act on it. You could do it in December,
That- At the time, if I could, the current term ends at the inauguration next year. The new term starts, so if you were to put somebody in 30 days, they would only be there till inauguration of next year. On inauguration day next year, the council of next year gets to vote on the 3-year term for a city clerk. So the timing that you were speaking of, Councilor Thompson and all, currently, there's a term that will end on inauguration day. In a 3-year term, the new council will vote for that new city clerk or whoever it may be. And again, so that's the time frame, and that's by law. So that's not, you can vote at any time right now. There's, I'm the assistant city clerk with full duties of the city clerk by state law, but this term ends with, Mrs. Zioli's term ends at the end of this legislative session, and a new one starts with the next city council will elect somebody for a 3-year term, just so everybody understands that.
Mr. President?
Councilor Yaneri.
Thank you. And I follow the track on where, and what Tim is talking about this evening. The way I look at it, and I think I discussed it with the president just on the telephone earlier today, the way I look at it, because of the way the calendar does fall in this position being available, terminated, is when we have our last meeting in December, I think that's when the new city clerk should be nominated at the same time when you also nominate who your next city council president would be, and that those two positions would go into place on inauguration day. As Council Fowle mentioned, you started the same day with Mr. Zioli, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it, so it'd be smooth. I mean, that's a transition I would look at. I'm not involved in it after the last meeting in December, but I think that's the way it should be looked at. But thank you.
So, Mr. President, just to clarify, nomination last day of the session, vote to elect on inauguration day.
When we have your last meeting in December, yes, with the new council in place. When you have that last meeting in December, the new councils are involved in that nomination.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
I'm not, nor is
That's right.
Council Monahan, you know what I'm saying?
There'd be a nomination and then the official election on inauguration day, or no?
On inauguration day.
Okay.
And keep in mind, your council's still in play. If something, God forbid, was to happen and there had to be a special council meeting on, December 31st, I'm still part of that, you know that. But, yeah, and that's the way I look at it. Then you have a whole new slate coming in that day.
Then I would say I'd recommend that those resumes would also then be shared at the, whoever is elected for, whoever comes through the election. I know we're definitely going to have 4 new city councilors, so if they're to vote on this process, then I believe they need to make an informed vote. So to share with them the resumes when you distribute them to us as well.
Absolutely.
Councilor DeCastro.
I agree with Councilor Aneri. I think it's very important that this council be the one to vote on this position, on and appointing our clerk. We will be doing all of the work, all of the reviewing of the resumes, and so it's really our job to finish the work, and I think we can get it done by the end of this year, by our last meeting. And then on Inauguration Day, if the new council wants to vote to confirm that, that's fine, but I think we are the ones that are making this appointment. We're doing all the work for it, and I think we have the ability to complete this on time.
Right, but from just through you, Mr. President, from what I understand, the clerk just stated is that the actual vote has to come on Inauguration Day. Is that correct?
Correct. There's a new term, that new council will vote to elect a new clerk or a current clerk, but a new term on Inauguration Day of next year. The new council has that vote.
And that wouldn't be a confirmation of a previous vote?
No.
But that would be the actual legal vote on the issue?
Correct. That's the way I believe it would be. Attorney Resnick, do you disagree?
Let me follow up on that, because the reference actually requires me to confirm whether or not you've accepted a provision of the state law. So I'll follow up the clerk's office to see if that provision has been accepted. But that's not something that we need to decide tonight, but I can come back and give you that counsel as soon as I know whether or not you've accepted this chapter. And that probably is true.
So, for purposes, Council Rodriguez, I don't know if you were stretching or,
No, I'm going to make a motion.
go ahead,
Can I?
please do.
Well, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we designate the legal counsel as the point person for this entire application process, that all resumes come either via email or by mail. I mean, there's some individuals that might not have email. They might want to mail it in to the legal counsel, and that the ad is placed on the local paper, on the city's website, and also on the MMMA website, and that the dates to receive to post the application, to post the job posting, be no later than October 18th, which would give us,
Monday?
yes.
I'll do my best. So just in full discretion, I've never posted a job before.
We'll figure that one out.
I will do my best to figure out how to do that. I
With
don't
the-
work in HR.
With the end date of November 19th.
Yes.
And hopefully we will, by December 17th, have this whole process squared away with, and I do agree with Councilor Nicastro in terms of the process, that this is something, a vacancy that happened during this council, and I think it's something we've been laboring on now for the last few months, that this process is concluded by this council in a sense. And then we can figure out exactly when that person is voted in one way or the other, but I figured if the resumes come in by the 19th, we have about a month or so to vet the resumes and the application, and they'll give us plenty of time to decide when we are going to go along and cast that vote, whichever way we decided to do that. But for the person to take office on the inauguration date with the rest of the lucky ones to have gotten elected.
I'll second that motion.
If I could,
Go ahead.
sorry to speak on this, just to let you know, my office will have to work for the posting anyways. We'll do the work with you on the posting for two reasons. One is we do this regularly, and
So you got some help already.
And Attorney Resnick doesn't have authority to spend money to advertise in the enterprise.
I don't.
The clerk's office does, not the attorney for the office. So we'll work with her tomorrow to start to get this ready, and we should be able to get it up by Monday.
Okay.
The advertisement in the enterprise will probably take a little longer because they don't turn it around as quickly as that, but
And I can definitely figure out the MMA posting. That should be easy enough.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, so do we know what we're voting on? Everyone all set?
I second, I don't know if it was seconded, but I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Rodriguez with those stipulations, seconded by Councilor Thompson. All in favor? All opposed? It is a vote. Any other
Amen.
late files?
And just since this was a late file, you're just going to want to do a motion, have a hand vote to accept favorably the resolve. It was a motion for action, but not on the resolve itself.
All right, on the resolve, motion to accept it, recommended favorably or accepted favorably?
Yeah.
All in favor, all opposed, it is a vote. Okay. Counselor Azak.
Moment of council's recognition. So I just have a couple of announcements. First off, right before tonight's city council meeting, I had scheduled a Ward 7 community meeting for residents to meet with proposed development up in Ward 7, up at 609 Pleasant Street. Unfortunately, it was quickly put together. I announced the meeting late last week. It was posted on the city website, and I posted it on social media. I also went by abutters' homes and put notes in their doors. We did get a handful of people there, but obviously this is going to affect a lot more people. So that's why I'm making this announcement right now. This is the proposed development is a gas station up on Pleasant Street, and they were supposed to go before the zoning board tomorrow, but at the meeting this evening, I found out that they are going to postpone until the next month. So they will not be before the zoning board tomorrow night. So I know residents out there were interested in hearing more about this project, and the attorney that represents this developer is Attorney Philip Nezrella, and he did suggest that if anybody has any questions, they can email him at info@nessralla.law.com, and send him any questions. He said he'd be more than happy to answer them. So once again, this is for the proposed development at 609 Pleasant Street. On another note, Thursday, October 14th, there's a meeting of Tourism and Cultural Affairs group at 6 p.m. at the North Baptist Church, which is located at 899 North Main Street. And finally, there's events happening at the main library. There's one that's being presented by Pat Monteith and the guy with the scientific telescope. It's on Tuesday, October 19th. There's 2 programs, 6 p.m. for kids and at 7:30 for adults and young adults. So for more information, please visit brocktonpubliclibrary.org for more information at their website. Thank you.
Counselor Castro.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to again announce the Brockton Cultural Council is accepting applications for grant funding in the arts, humanities, and science areas. They are the local funding arm of the Massachusetts Cultural Council. The application is online and it's fast, and the deadline is approaching. It is this Friday, October 15th. Anyone who is interested in that can get in touch with me at 508-727-1314. That's the first thing, and forgive me for sitting down. The second thing is, Councilor Azak and I, along with Sydney Merrow from the mayor's office, attended the Eagle Scout Trail ceremony this past Sunday, at which 5 young men were declared Eagle Scouts. And we did previously have those Eagle Scouts here a few weeks ago to honor them with citations. But something that I learned while I was there is that 18 years ago, the city of Brockton had 8 Scout troops in it. That's 8 Boy Scouts troops plus Girl Scout troops across the city. And as of right now, there's only 1 Scout troop left, and it has 5 young men and women in it. And so I want to put out to the city how important it is that Scouting continues. It offers a valued experience and information and learning for young men and women in the city of Brockton. If you get in touch with me at 508-727-1314, I will put you in touch with the Scout Master. It is very important that Scouting not end in the city of Brockton, and so I ask all of you to reach out to families that you know to encourage people to send their children for Scouting. And lastly, I will be hosting a Ward 4 meeting next Wednesday, October 20th at 6:30 p.m. at the Edgar Davis School on Plain Street in Brockton. Among the invited speakers are the developer of a proposed solar field on Summer Street, and in addition, Mayor Sullivan, Brockton Fire Chief Brian Nardelli, Brockton Police Chief Emmanuel Gomes, and School Committee person for Ward 4, Tony Rodriguez, and all are welcome. Thank you.
Councilor Lally?
Moment of council's recognition, Mr. President. I just wanted to take a minute to sort of offer a recognition to a couple of different people who work for the city. On Tuesday, a couple of DPW employees were able to assist after a car that, had some people driving a little recklessly in it, I believe hit a detail officer and attempted to get away. The DPW employees were able to help keep the suspects from getting away until the police were able to get there. And so I just wanted to offer, hats off to them, and of course, hats off to the officer of the Brockton Police Department that was shot in the line of duty. Just wanted to take a moment to, to offer a moment for him as well. Keeping the city safe from what was clearly someone a little out of their mind. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone else? 67. Still have item 67.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Councilor Rodriguez, or?
No, Mr. President, I was basically saying I think we skipped 67. So we have to decide what we're going to do with 67.
Item 67, Councilor Monahan?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Timothy J. Cruz as city clerk
Second.
to
Second.
fill the unexpired term of retired city clerk Anthony Zioli at step 4.
What?
Okay, so that,
Step what?
4
What does that mean?
so
There's 7 pay steps.
just,
of 7 steps. Yeah.
just as a clarification, to council, would we be electing or appointing?
It's an election.
It's an election.
And this, just so everyone's aware, is only for the unexpired term, so all of that we just discussed earlier during my resolve, that still goes forward, but you've had a vacant city clerk seat for some time now, and the statute provides that when the successor is able to be nominated, it shall be filled.
So your motion is basically for a 10-week period, is that,
Just to fill the unexpired term of Tony Zioli, that's it.
all right? Councilor Cardoza, did you?
Okay, so that's what I was going to clarify.
Okay. All right, does everyone understand it's a motion to elect Timothy Cruz only for the unexpired term of Anthony Zioli, which ends on 12/31/2021?
Or January 3rd, whatever.
January 3rd.
January
Ends at the end of the
3rd.
legislature.
3rd.
January 3rd. Okay, are we clear?
And if I could, just for the public and just to thank you, I just want to make clear to the public that this is only for till the end of that term. As the assistant city clerk, you have full powers under state law. However, working with some of the state agencies has been fairly difficult because they don't recognize the same thing as an assistant city clerk that you need as the city clerk. So it really just streamlines what we're doing for the next 10 weeks. And then these resumes will come in, and whatever this council and the next council decides to do is what we'll be doing. But it's fairly difficult to do the job properly for the city of Brockton without the full title. So that's why I pushed forward for this tonight. So thank you, and this is only until the end of this legislative term.
As long as we're clear, would the clerk please call the roll on the election of an interim city clerk?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianary?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nicastro? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
That's 10 in the affirmative.
All right, the election of Timothy Cruz as the interim city clerk has been approved by the city council. I don't know whether to congratulate you.
I move for reconsideration in hopes it does not prevail.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion made for reconsideration in the hope that it does not prevail, and all in favor, all opposed? Reconsideration fails. Councilors, on the 14th, a couple of days, there will be a meeting at the Arnone School, which is being held by Father Bill's Mainspring. Father Bill's Mainspring, because of a federal law, was allowed to purchase and was actually given priority to purchase the old Army Armory at 124 Manley Street. So they have plans to do wraparound services, in other words, comprehensive services for homeless people there, in the hope that that will make a difference in our center of the city as well as for homeless people in general. As a part of this process, I understand they may very well vacate where they are in downtown Brockton and locate more centrally on Manley Street. So they wanted to hold a meeting. Councilor Ian and I have arranged for the Arnone School Auditorium. I know there are a number of things going on, but I did want all of you to feel welcome to come and listen, and also for the public to attend. So if there is no further business, meeting is adjourned.